All right, so I want to test out doing just a very simple kind of sticker effect that you may use. Once again, these little tips are not as a required. You must do it this way. I'm just giving you some options if you want to spruce up what you've got going on so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a really quick selection around this guy. While I'm at it, I want to show you the piece with the refine edge. Again, I did give you another short video option. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little bit here. I met this guy at the Salton Sea over Thanksgiving when my wife and I went out there for just for the Thanksgiving time. Him, his wife, and his daughter, and their two parrots were traveling from San Francisco in that Winnebago. They were driving around, and he went outside to let the birds fly around and stuff. It was really cool. All right. So what I've done is I've gone through here. Now what I want to do is I want to select the hair. So once I've got a good clean selection, which I didn't get his glasses. So once again, all I'm doing is using the space bar, holding my mouse button down, and I'm just going along. So he's got bird poop on his leg. I can't tell if that's poop or a scrape or something. Whatever. All right. I'm going to switch to the lasso, and I'm going to grab the little lasso, and I'm holding down the Alt key. If you're on one of the Chromebooks or you're using Cameo when you're doing this part right here, what you can do with the lasso instead is you'll have options for add to selection or subtract. That's what the Alt or the Shift key does if you're on a what you call it, like a desktop or a laptop computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to add those. I'm going to subtract there, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to fix his hair. So I'm going to go up here to where there's this button that says Select and Mask. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to Smart Radius. And now this will depend on how detailed your photo is, how high resolution it is. I'm going to drag this radius over a little bit. See what's happening when I did the Smart Radius in here, you're now starting to get a little bit of his hair. Now, if you choose this second brush right here, that's the Refine Edge brush. If I keep the plus sign in the white area and I just kind of drag, see what it's doing is it's giving me these little strands, but it's also cutting out some of the stuff in here in the middle portion of his head. So if I press the Alt key, or if you're on the Cameo version, you can come up here. There's a minus sign that you can click on. You can do this as well if you're on a laptop or a desktop. But I'm just so used to keyboard shortcuts that I'm usually just screaming those things out. So I'm going to get in the habit. I'm trying to make it so that everybody can get it. All right, that looks pretty good. And then once you have that, you can just choose layer mask. What that'll do is that will actually apply the mask once you click OK. And now it's got that nice little cutout. So now I'm going to move that picture over here. All right. Drop that down. Okay, so now what I'm looking to do is, and I'm just playing around with different effects and different options and stuff. One of the things that I noticed is the bird's got some little funky edge there that I'd want to clean up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it where I get a white outline. So right now I'm going to fill this background with just a random color. Not that color because that's going to mesh too much with his shirt. There we go. So just a random color just so I can see the edges and stuff that are happening. Now what we can do is we can apply a layer style on here. If I take this effect, I can go to stroke and see that moves this around here. But what I'd really like to do before I do that is I'm going to convert this to a smart object. Now I'm going to apply a stroke. So I go in here with stroke. I'm going to drop this down a bit. There's no like magic number on this. It's going to depend on what kind of look you're going for. But the beautiful thing is since you're using a layer style, you're not permanently affecting it. So I'm just going to add a white stroke and move this around. Have my opacity set. I'm putting this to the outside and I'm making the stroke something like that. and I click OK. His hair is kind of got a funky little edge there, but no big deal. So once you have something like that, then I've got this little stroke. Then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a tiny little bit of a drop shadow. Now, the thing with drop shadows, if I move my mouse out here, I can click. See, I can drag. The fuzzier the edge, the further away the object is going to appear. If you actually want to manually drag these sliders, you can kind of see what's happening. So this distance is moving it away from the actual photo. This here is changing the angle that shadow goes away. So what we can do is this. I'm going to move my mouse inside of here and decide I want it to be like about there. But now it looks like it's kind of floating pretty far above the surface. But if I wanted this to look like those magazine collages or something where there's like a sticker sitting on top of something, I just used my hand, sorry for the clapping. And what you can do is I'm going to change the size. The higher the size, the blurrier it becomes. The lower the size, the sharper it is. So it's going to appear like it's much, much closer. So I'm just kind of playing around with nudging this. Blur it just a little bit more. And kind of bring that over. So the size is how much is it going to blur. And the distance is how far away is it from its original spot. And then your angle can be adjusted by clicking inside. So if I just barely move that a little bit, so I'm just kind of playing around with the edge. So like right there, I kind of like what's happening there where it's got the little bit of a shadow. And then once we add other stuff into the photo, you would be able to see more stuff. Or if you decided, hey, I really don't want this part of his arm here for whatever reason, now that this is a smart object, you can just add a mask to it. And then if you decide, well, I want there to be like a circle or something cutting that out, I could come in with an elliptical marquee. So I'm just holding down the shift key when I'm doing this. If you're on Cameo, I'm not sure what the keyboard shortcut would be to make a perfect circle. If you want to do a perfect circle, let me know and I'll show you an alternative way using the shape. So what I've done here is I've got that set up. Now, if I go to the mask and I take the paintbrush, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but if I take the paintbrush on the mask with this circle and I've got this set to black, I can tap that down. But what you'll notice is it's just hiding the picture. It's not really hiding the effect, which is not really the type of thing that I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do instead of that, so I'm going to, on this, by filling it with black on that circle, it's now going to hide it. And now I've got that little edge. Little funky, not really super permanent, but I do like having that little bit more of a rounded edge because then I can kind of see the shadow. Now, the cool part with something like this is let me go ahead and grab just some other random photo and show you once you've applied that effect. So let's go to this hands-on. We'll grab the banana. Once you've applied that effect, you can reapply it on any of the layers that you're using. So it's something like this. I just use the magic wand to select the white. I'm going to reverse the selection by going to select inverse, and I'm going to hit the mask button. Boom. I'm going to drag that over, drop the banana on there. I'm going to transform it. If you're not using Cameo or the Chromebook, then you can press Control T. If you are, just go to Edit and Free Transform. That's going to allow you to change that. And now I want to put the banana, I don't know, I'm going to transform that again. I don't know where the heck I want the banana. There's no real purpose for it. Let's go ahead and just drop it like right on here. The thing I wanted to show you is if I move this underneath, if I want to apply that same sticker effect to this other layer, I don't have to recreate that again. That's one of the coolest things with these layer styles is watch this. If I take Alt I can click and drag, and now it's applied to that same thing. Now, if you're using Cameo, what you're going to want to do is you can copy the layer style. So if you right click, you can go to copy. Then when you go down to any other layer that you're working on, like say, for example, I'm just going to make a random shape. So right here under custom shapes, here's another little thing that's kind of fun. All right, I'm going to do, if you don't have all of these shapes, you can click on this gear and you can choose all. And what that will do is it'll give you all of these different shapes. If you click on this gear right here, you can go to large thumbnail and see some of the pre-built things. So maybe it's like, oh, I want to do, I don't know, let's go ahead and do this tree. I've now drawn a tree. It's got a stroke that's on there that was whatever I had used the last time. I'm actually going to fill this. I want to fill it with blue for, whatever reason. I'm going to change the stroke to nothing. That's the red line with the white box. And now I got this funky tree here. And I can go in and I'm going to copy that layer style. So I'm going to go to one that already has it. I'm going to go to copy layer style. I'm going to go to the layer that I want it to be on. I'm going to right click. And where is the paste layer style? Well, I'm so used to just dragging and dropping it and all of a sudden it works. Let me see if I can figure this out for those that don't have that option. So I've got the copy, but when I go in here to paste, there it is, paste layer style. Cool. So when you zoom in on that, you can see you've got that same effect applied to all three pieces. So it may not be the most amazing effect ever, but it's an interesting way to be able to apply the layer style that you're using to multiple layers. So that could be something else. I'll continue to mess around with this one and show you some other possible options in the next video.